Whether you like it or not, AI-generated content is now a big part of YouTube culture. That means big opportunities, but also a big problem.
How do you protect your likeness from bad actors doing bad things that pretend to represent you?
Well, this is YouTube's answer, the content likeness detection tool. We've got it, we've tested it, and you know what? I've been pretty surprised by it. So the invitation to start using the tool came through in an email and mentioned some pretty interesting features. It'll work even if there are multiple creators on the channel, and we definitely tick that box. And it will keep your audience from being misled about you, each of which I'm keen to learn more about, but let's press on with getting all of this set up, shall we? You may have noticed a month or so back that YouTube renamed the copyright section of the YouTube Studio to content detection. And this is precisely why, in preparation for creators having access to not only copyright detection, but also likeness detection. The steps are relatively straightforward. Agree to YouTube's terms of using the tool, send in the data that's required for the tool to work, and then confirmation that you've passed the verification process. And that agreement is the next thing you'll need to tick off, and this will be a pretty swift deal breaker for some. You must agree to providing your face and full legal name, and for that data to be held on YouTube's internal database for up to 3 years. That consent is directly below, and maybe this is just me, but when I ticked the boxes, YouTube's formatting was a little broken. Yeah, you might want to fix that. And ticking these boxes has set off alarm bells about what YouTube are going to do with this information. It is alleged that they may use it to train their AI models. YouTube deny this and have reworded the language used in the sign-up process. For me, this sign-up process included a line saying the data will be treated in accordance with the Google privacy policy, which is this long. And I ain't about to read all of that now. However, a quick Control F on the web page for the word model tells me that Google uses your interactions with AI models and technologies like Gemini apps to develop, train, fine-tune, and improve these models. To be honest, I'm not here to debate the finer points of privacy. Let's face it, if you watch YouTube on a signed-in account and you have Gmail, you've already handed them a lot of data already. And it does say in the support pages for this likeness detection tool that registering for this study does not grant YouTube access to your content for training generative models. So make of that what you will. Once you've ticked the agreements, it's on to your next adventure, which will involve this QR code and your mobile phone. This is where you have to deliver on your promise of providing personal data and likeness in order to give YouTube the information it needs to protect your likeness on the platform. First comes the valid form of ID, be it a driving license, passport, etc. For completeness of the process, I'm showing you all of the screens you have to work through, but not showing any of the sensitive data for obvious reasons. I'm fine with Google exploiting me, but I draw the line at anyone who comments first on our videos. The next step is to take a video selfie, where you need to record yourself looking from right to left, as well as up and down, whilst also trying to keep your eyes on the screen to see when a green tick appears. Not as easy as what it looks. And of course, for this recording, I thought it was very important to wear those glasses. Now, something that's worth noting is that it does not ask you to speak during the recording process, which can only mean one thing, right? Yes. In the support pages, it confirms that only your visual likeness is tracked. In instances where you think someone else is using your voice, you'll first have to find it and then manually submit a privacy request. Once you've finished filming your selfie, it should upload the video and confirm that your details have been sent to Google. There is then a verification process that can take up to a few days to complete. And while the verification process is taking place, this is what your YouTube Studio is going to look like. Now again, for full transparency of the entire process, for me, this verification process failed a couple of times. And every time it did, I was sent an email asking me to try again. I was worried that it wasn't working because I was wearing these glasses while trying to do the selfie recording. But they feel pretty intrinsic to my appearance on YouTube. So I was determined to get this verified while I was wearing them. And eventually it worked. When my likeness was eventually verified, YouTube didn't bother to tell me. I just had to wait until I saw this screen in the YouTube Studio. Over on the right hand side, I can manage my likeness detection, which is to basically stop searching. And it does confirm here that YouTube may use my likeness to help train its models. Although it must be said that this tick box appears to be optional, it was probably one of the boxes I ticked earlier that I couldn't read. As mentioned earlier, you can run this verification process for every person on the channel. So for example, when Dan's logged into the vidIQ channel with his email, he's notified that he can submit his likeness too if he wants to. And with all of that done, which to be honest was a 5-minute task followed by a few days of waiting, likeness detection is now set up on the channel. Now, before I started this video, I had a title already in mind. YouTube launches new update, and it doesn't work. I thought for sure this likeness detection tool was going to be a complete bust with no results or false flag detections. Within 24 hours, I was proven wrong. In just the first couple of days, it picked up several likeness detections, and of course I was very keen to investigate what YouTube had discovered in these videos. Wait, hang on, let me check that again. So this is a GIF that I've used many times on our community tab on the YouTube channel, but this won't have a video ID attached to it, so it can't be detected as copyright. And it's worth mentioning that this isn't AI. It's simply me, but on someone else's channel, which suddenly makes me wonder if this likeness detection tool could potentially protect creators from cross-platform ripping of content. What I mean by that is, let's say you have loads of viral TikToks, but you haven't uploaded them to YouTube yet. Could this likeness detection tool protect you from other creators stealing your TikToks and uploading them to YouTube? In a perfect world, I think that's what we would all like to happen. But this would mean every time I appeared on someone else's YouTube channel legitimately, in a podcast for instance, it should flag up my likeness, and yet it doesn't. So my best guess as to what's happened here is that YouTube has rightly detected my likeness, but has mistaken this actual footage of me as being AI generated. And that is confirmed in the support pages that say during the experimental phase of this feature, my actual face may be detected rather than AI versions of me.
We're at DEFCON 1, and so the great cafeteria battle of day 10 began.
I've got to say, I'm loving the fact that creators have just embraced this subscriber meme of me, and all of these results are of that same GIF. Which brings us to this top result, which has a high alert against it for suspicious content. And I should also add that YouTube was so concerned about this content that they even emailed me about it.
Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. आज मैं आपको एक बहुत ही
Okay, so I've blurred everything out here but my likeness. And it seems pretty crazy to me that YouTube is detecting my likeness from that tiny graphic in the top of a video. Now, the reason it's been labeled as high priority is because the video seems to be promoting some sort of eye medication. And that's a pretty big red flag if your likeness is going to be associated with it, even if it is just a subscribe GIF. So my options are as follows. I can request a removal of a content because it contains my likeness. However, as I've already said, this isn't altered or synthetic content. It's actual footage of the real me, which would mean in all of the examples so far I'd have to submit a copyright removal request, which is far more serious for all involved. The only other option is to archive the detection, which is to basically ignore it. I think what YouTube are missing here is the option they have in the copyright detection tool, which is to simply contact the creator and politely ask them to remove the offending content and not have to take more drastic action. Anyway, let's pretend this is AI generated content so I can show you the steps you need to go through for submitting a removal request. First of all, you'll need to provide your full legal name, email, and country of residence. The next step asks you whether your voice was also present, even though YouTube isn't yet detecting for this likeness. I assume this is to help improve the tool so that it can be added later. And finally, the rationale and declaration for the removal request. Now, this is where things can get quite serious, especially when the tick boxes are using language such as alleged violation, good faith, and fraudulent. It even mentions termination of your channel if you abuse this tool. You also have to think about what information you're providing for this removal request. Considering this is a privacy guideline violation, you have to assume that all of the private data YouTube has already collected about you is not passed on. For copyright removal, you do have to include sensitive information. So just be absolutely sure about what you're doing with these screens and what information you're providing. So it seems to me that in all of these examples so far, the likeness detection tool has worked by accident. It's found footage of me that I wasn't aware of on YouTube, but it's not actually altered or synthetic versions of me. Well, it's time to tackle that head on.
Hi, I'm not Rob Wilson, but Sora doesn't really care about that. Once I've uploaded a video, very similar to the one I did on YouTube, it's open season on my likeness.
When it comes to Google, you can't upload a likeness yet, but you can upload an image and text prompt, whatever you want me to say. Buy vidIQ NFTs now, baby!
Oh, why does AI always do that and add a weird image at the end of clips? Truly horrifying. Anyway, what I've done is prompted a minute's worth of AI clips of myself from Sora 2 and VO3 and then uploaded them to a random YouTube channel to see if the likeness detection tool here on the vidIQ channel picks them up. Alright then, that is the AI video published. To be fair to YouTube, I'm going to give them a couple of days to see if, well, it detects anything.
3 days later.
Alrighty, the video has gained a massive 8 views and the unique position of 3 of 6 on this channel. Most interestingly, it has attracted a comment from a channel with more than 1 million subscribers. But what we really need to know is, did this trigger likeness detection? Well then, looky what we have here. And would you believe it, it's detected the entire video. I will confess that throughout this video, I have been waiting to pounce on YouTube's failings. I was convinced that this wasn't going to work and that it would be another reason to fear the AI invasion. And yet, here we are with an AI tool that does what it promises. Mostly. Using this cool little vidIQ browser extension tool, we can quickly view the transcript of the video to see that Fake Rob was encouraging people to buy NFTs. Now that's not being flagged as a high priority, which is a bit of a shame. However, what I'm more concerned about here is the lack of viewer awareness. There still seems to be a bit of a weird blind spot in YouTube's upload process in that the altered and synthetic content question appears to be optional. That means there is no label like this warning viewers that there is AI generated likeness in the video. And yet, we know in the back end that YouTube has detected this. So going back to this promise that the likeness detection tool will prevent audiences from being misled, I think currently it fails. I think for all of this to work, this question needs to be mandatory so that the responsibility for lying is placed on bad actors, and creators using the likeness detection tool should have the option to confirm if a video does contain their likeness to force a label on the video regardless of how the uploader answered the altered content question. That would be a lot easier than messing around with privacy removal requests and copyright takedowns. I could solve a lot of these videos with a single click. Now, in YouTube's defense, we have to remember that this tool is still in beta, and something similar to what I'm proposing here might end up being reality when YouTube can trust this tool at scale. As for my likeness, with the tests I've done, I'm surprising myself here by saying YouTube's actually won me over. YouTube has always been good at making tools accessible and easy to use, to give you that feeling of it just works. And despite its complexities, the likeness detection tool is no different. But on top of all of that, this tool, just like the collaboration tool that was recently launched, actually gives you accurate and positive results that clearly assist your channel. That is something that rarely happens, and YouTube have just pulled it off twice. So I think, given that this likeness detection tool is currently on a very limited rollout, it will develop over time into a feature I do think will fish out many of the videos on YouTube that are AI generated and using my likeness without my knowledge. That's a relief, and comforting to know that YouTube are taking this seriously and building tools to protect creators where they need it. However, I will agree that for some, the personal information you need to provide to enable the feature to work will be a step too far. And the actual process of requesting the removal of a content feels as if it places too much responsibility on the so-called victim. That, I think, does need to be streamlined. But just as I was finishing up this video, a new likeness detection alert came in that, quite frankly, blew my mind.
It's a generated video of this gentleman because he loaded a picture into artificial intelligence.
I'm Rob, welcome back to vidIQ, and in case you haven't noticed, everything you're about to see in here is 100% AI generated. This is the next monumental leap forward in the creative AI arms race, and this chap looks pretty happy with himself, don't you, Sam?
This is an AI video I made demonstrating Sora 2, and someone has downloaded that video off YouTube, used it in a lecture, on a projector at an angle to the camera, and yet the detection tool has worked flawlessly. I didn't think it would be capable of doing that.